I just finished the game. I finished Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, and I kinda liked it more than Baldur's Gate 3. Don't get me wrong, I love Baldur's Gate 3. It's my first CRPG experience and it was an exhilarating ride. But playing Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader made me feel something different. There's a strange serenity in playing Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, which is ironic because the world itself is quite dark compared to Baldur's Gate 3. Darkness might be comparable if we consider Forgotten Realms versus Warhammer 40k's universe. I won't expand on that much further because I have very little and shallow understanding of how each world works. So let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, and also let's keep it friendly in there. Quick disclaimer, I'll be speaking in both English and Tagalog because that's where I'm comfortable. So let's get started on why I love Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader more than Baldur's Gate 3. My experience was an absolute blast. I never thought I'd actually made it this far or finish the game sooner kasi chapter 1 pa lang paulit-ulit na ako. Ang galing kasi nung RPG mechanics niya, so I tried testing the consequence system and it's really detailed. For example, in chapter 1, there are primary objectives and you decide the order. Ikaw bahala kung anong unahin mo dun sa mga quest lines na yon. This prioritization matters because each objective's status changes when they are deprioritized. So example, if I have to rescue someone from a different planet or a specific planet, if ipaprioritize ko siya, then they'll be able to join me in a healthy status to complete the objective within that planet. If not, then I'll find that person tortured and maimed, so hindi na siya makakasali dun sa laban or dun sa quest line ng planet na yon. If they're the last that I rescue, they're already dead. So ganun kadetalyado yung RPG and consequence system niya. I kept restarting just to see how the consequence system felt because I already felt this was a great classic RPG. I can tell kasi I haven't played an actual RPG like this apart from Baldur's Gate 3. Dragon Age Inquisition might have the similar elements but not as strong. So Baldur's Gate 3 is really my standard and benchmark. Na-realize ko nga na siguro yung mga text-rich na RPGs are the best kasi the freedom you can have is technically endless. Kasi di na need ng cutscenes masyado, walang animation masyado na required sa mukha, and the developers can really focus on the content. But yeah, I replayed chapter 1 a lot, paulit-ulit talaga ako, and it was worth it. Yeah, I think it was worth it. I just wish the prologue was skippable. Sana lang talaga pwede siyang skip kasi I remember in Baldur's Gate 3, I don't want to do the Nautiloid anymore whenever I'm starting a new playthrough. Ayoko nang gawin yung Nautiloid, nakakaumay talaga siya. So somewhat, my behavior in Baldur's Gate 3 was similar. Replaying Act 1 repeatedly. Similar siya. I spent so long in Act 1 unable to move on from the Grove for quite some time. I wanted to experiment with different builds and choices, and the freedom I had back then was intoxicating. That was actually the time that I realized I want to play true RPGs, RPGs where you can shift elements of the story by choosing a dialogue. Anyway, I attest to the robust, deep, and RPG mechanics of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, because in the epilogue, each character has a written ending based on your in-game choices. And it's not just your party, all major NPCs too. I was even surprised kasi sabi ko, pati siya may ending. Outside of the storytelling and narrative, you can build a truly unique character. The character building isn't just skills and background. It's your homeworld, previous profession, greatest win, greatest mistake, and combat capabilities. Kung iisipin mo, medyo hindi naman talaga siya free kasi you will choose from a limited set of choices rather than create your own. But for me, personally, I think having this structure is easier to roleplay than unstructured freedom. It's like too much order is tyranny, too much freedom is anarchy type of thing. The structure of character creation here is just right. And here, it's easy for me to be consistent with my character storytelling. If you're not very fond of storytelling and narrative aspects of the game, you might not appreciate it. It impacts how in-game characters treat you. For example, if you choose your greatest mistake to be a shameful past that tarnishes your reputation, when you have a dialogue with some characters, your option for other dialogue choices might be block or meron kang bagong option for a different dialogue. Di lang yun. There's a morality scale as well with 3 main convictions. Dogmatic, ito yung sobrang military, ruthless, religious, valuing order and faith above all. Then you have iconoclastic, which values life. It's somewhat good. Take note, medyo good lang siya. Take note, medyo. And heretical is everything primal, selfish, power-hungry, greedy, evil. The way conviction is implemented in the game is great. If you choose dogmatically too much, you will notice ruthless choices with no room for mercy. And you question it if it's right. Because yes, it might be morally right, it might be aligned to your values, but is it actually right to do that? Then there's the iconoclast. Is the kind one because you value people's lives, and yet sometimes too much mercy and consideration can compromise who you should truly be saving. For example, there is an iconoclastic decision to save some seemingly innocent people, so wala naman silang kasalanan, only to find out that they are scheming and already corrupted, so there are consequences. It's a great platform for younger gamers and audiences to develop, if not at least be aware of the importance of social discernment. Another aspect is the factions and reputation. As a rogue trader, you have to manage your reputation and profit factor. Profit factor is your main way to buy items from factions, and this currency isn't expendable. It's essentially the indicator of how profitable your protectorate is as a rogue trader, influencing the favors factions will grant you. And it's not just tied to gameplay. The leaders of these factions form part of your narrative and storytelling, dictated by your decision making. And lastly, colony management. Remember, you're a rogue trader. Meron ka mga planeta na kailangan mong pamahalaanan. These are called colonies, planets where you manage projects to ensure prosperity. And projects must be chosen properly within a tier system. Now, why does it matter? Well, there are story elements, yes, if you read the projects, but the main point of colonies is your overall identity as rogue trader. How do you make decisions to govern the lives of people and nations under your protectorate? Do you favor projects that improve your relationships with factions? Or do you select projects that improve your overall strength as a rogue trader? Or would you prefer profit factor or raw materials as a reward? Do you focus on projects that fulfill your duty to humanity? These choices are narratively implicit, shaping your overall storytelling, but they also give you rewards in the form of unique permanent passives for your party or yourself, or even provide unique gear and equipment unattainable elsewhere. The RPG mechanics of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader are very streamlined, engaging and cohesive, and it's really well thought out. It's a culmination of great planning and prioritizing player experience above all. While Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader isn't devoid of cutscenes and visual expositories, it follows a classical text-heavy RPG structure. Actually, I used to dislike this. Ayoko nang ganun before. Pero nung nilaro ko na to, I admit na mali ako. Because it's all in the writing and execution. Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader isn't boring just because it lacks rich visual cutscenes. On the contrary, the world design of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader is beautiful. The details and art direction really speaks effort and dedication. The visuals are a great part of the overarching narrative in Rogue Trader. Let's go back to what I said about Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader being a text-heavy gameplay experience. Because most of the time, you will be reading to understand things, to help you make a decision, and to read your choice options to make that decision. So, wala bang voice acting or voiceover?
No! Lord Captain, I didn't hear a thing! Not a whisper,
Most of the time, there's no voice acting. It's used to build character by exposing you to the quality of their speech, their voice, how they speak, and their cadence. And it's also used to emphasize the importance of the sequence you're in. In Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, voice acting is used as a literary tool to create cinematic impact that elevates the scene and story unfolding before you. That's what makes it effective. You're not desensitized to moment-by-moment speaking, so when it happens, you know something's up. It captivates you, it pulls you in. And the voice acting in this game isn't just any voice acting. The voiceover and acting are more than mere obligation. They are a performance you'll enjoy whenever it's there. Lastly, I would like to appreciate how well written the game is. Siguro may mga words lang siya na need ko i-dictionary. Positive din naman kasi educational. But seriously, the writing in the game is really good. It's very captivating and novel-like. Whenever I'm playing, I'm very immersed in what I'm reading that the experience feels like being lost in the pages of a book. Minsan literal pa, maglalabas talaga yung laro ng libro kung saan kailangan ko magbasa. But don't be discouraged if reading isn't your thing because you might like it. But if you're the type who still skips through text dialogues even if a game doesn't have much of it, then I suggest moving on to more action-packed competitive games where narrative doesn't matter too much because you will not enjoy this one. And I feel bad that video games have writers who put their heart into their crafts only to be skipped. It's not your fault though. We all have our preferences, so focus on those games that feel fun for you. The eloquence and profundity of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader's writing is really up my alley. I get to imagine what I'm reading rather than it being shown to me, which adds another layer of player agency and freedom as I get to have my own interpretation and perception of what's happening. Are you like me who also likes to play around with builds and choose to ignore meta builds or popular builds because I like making something of my own? Hindi ka nag-iisa. Kahit napakawalang kwenta ng build ko, basta masaya ako, itutuloy ko. While Baldur's Gate 3 offers a robust character building system through its rich class system, well, Rogue Trader has its own strengths. It features more than 100 talents with potential expansion through narrative-driven permanent passives. So ito yung mga passive skills na permanent siya sa'yo dahil sa isang desisyon na ginawa mo either through dialogue or colony or anywhere else. Remember earlier I talked about character creation where you build more than just your combat skills? You have your background and narrative. Well, double it since playing the game, each level up allows you to select a talent from common ones to talents from your homeworld and origin. Admittedly, homeworld and origin talents are not very robust with a very few exceptions because mostly what you want from there are characteristic bonuses or some specific niche skill that you will need for brewing your specific build. The build crafting in Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader is so robust it was overwhelming at first because I really don't know what to choose. Those thumbs up icons beside the talents were very helpful since they helped me select something that might work for any type of character build. Anyhow, I can't put into words how robust the build system is because there's a whole lot of gear that can change how your build works. And that's very important because in the latter part of the game when you become an exemplar or your team becomes an exemplar, it starts to get a bit boring. So I thought that each character in my party will have their own function because there are only a limited amount of talents that I can choose. But apparently, upon reaching exemplar, you get to choose again from your base archetype and your advanced archetype. So essentially, yung mga characters mo, medyo nagiging pare-pareho na sila ng mga talents and skill sets with a very few exceptions. So gear is what separates them and the gear is what defines their overall core gameplay, which brings identity to the build that you have for each of your companions as well as yourself. When you get to be an exemplar, you can pretty much get around 85% of the skills and talents of your archetypes, both the base one and the advanced one. So what separates your companions are their ability rotation, their gear, and the characteristics of their focus. Speaking of characteristics, it's also a big part of how you build in Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, because two characters within the same archetype will be different based on how they focus their characteristics. Combat is a very refined classic turn-based system. I like the tiles. It's something that I'm always fond of, ever since I got exposed to Final Fantasy Tactics. Even if technically it's an older mechanic and I should be allowed to go in whatever direction I want my character to go to, like Baldur's Gate 3 or Divinity Original Sin 2. But I don't know, I like the tiles like in XCOM 2. I find it more strategic or tactical. I don't know the word. Hindi ko alam kung ano yung word na exacto to describe that. But I just really prefer the tiles for some reason. Let me know in the comments if you share this sentiment. So there you have it, my 3 reasons why I love Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader more than Baldur's Gate 3. Again, di ko sila pinag-aaway kasi pareho silang maganda. It's just that some aspects of Rogue Trader feels better than Baldur's Gate 3, while obviously Baldur's Gate 3 is is more on the AAA side. So it's more refined and it's more polished. However, both have heart and soul and don't have the feeling of corporate greed like most AAA games nowadays. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments section below, and if you like this video, please hit the like button and kindly consider subscribing as it helps me make more of these videos. Also, comment down below as it helps me improve para naman matuwa kayo pag pinapanood nyo ako every time, no? Ayun lang, Gamer After Shift signing out.